The Greek civilization permeated virtually every aspect of the human life. It marked a complete refinement of its predecessors, that is, Egyptian and Mesopotamian civilization. Some of its elements were a common language. All the Greek islands spoke an identical language known as Greek. They were thus able to communicate easily with one another. The common language also brought the feelings of togetherness among the island's inhabitants. Greeks had forgotten their diverse background. All of them considered themselves as one race. They regarded non-Greeks as barbarians, men and women whose speech was to them meaningless noise. The Greek language gave them a great advantage. It was something of superiority and clarity. The people closely associated settlement in city-state. With it, Greek was spoken and written. The language was also used for construction in both private and public functions. The Greeks also had a common alphabet. This formed the basis of the Greek language in the 8th century BC. They adopted a simpler alphabet from the Phoenicians. So, the second element that marked the Greek civilization was the settlement in cities. There, the city-states were a major feature of the Greek civilization, where Greeks lived in cities which were all independent of each other. Each city and the farms around it formed a separate state called a polis. Sometimes a city sent out a band of its citizens to found a rural city. Era is rare. The new city was quite independent of its parent city, although naturally it has close ties with the latter. At first, each polis consisted of farming villages, fields, and arcades around a fortified hill called the Acropolis. At the top, the Acropolis stood as the temple of the local god. At the foot was the Agora, an open area used as a marketplace. By the 18th and the 17th century BC, cities were built almost everywhere throughout the Greek. All these cities were independent. The city-state formed the alliances with one another. Each city-state was proud and jealous regarding its independence. This made them to be characterized by battle and shifting alliances. Cooperation among them also took place. The citizens were very patriotic. Where the enemy was non-Greek, the other city-state came to be to the defense of their counterpart. The city-state governed themselves differently. Sometimes they had kings, for example, at Sparta. Other cities were led by a self-imposed strong man who ruled the way they wanted. Such a leader is known as a tyrant. Sometimes the nobleman ruled, and this was called an aristocracy. Sometimes all the citizens took part in the government. This was called democracy. It was practiced in Athens. Or other men assembled together to discuss issues of interest to the policy. Other forms of government in the city-state were monarchy, oligarchy, and aristocracy. So the second element is the ancient Greek city of Athens. In city-state were found the Asti, which is called the city itself, with its watchtower, the agora, public square or marketplace, and surrounding rural agricultural lands referred to as the Chora. The Asti was the business, political, religious, and social center of the entire community, while the Chora provided the food to both the villagers and the city. So the second most main element is the participation in games. How Greek civilization was marked by the participation in games. In ancient Greek, there was a strong belief and athletic competitions were a way to praise the gods and honored the dead heroes. Greek therefore participated in the Olympic Games from 776 BC. During the games, fighting city-states even suspended wars between them to allow the competitions to go on. The games were held after every 4 years. They attracted some 400,000 Greeks into the stadium built in Olympia. The games were dedicated to the god Zeus, father of the gods. The games lasted for more than 5 days. Games events included foot races, wrestling, boxing, jumping, javelin, discus throwing, and chariot riding. Athletes were proud of their bodies and emphasized physical fitness. A Greek by name of Meron made a famous marble sculpture of a discus thrower around 450 BC. This sculpture survives in the Roman copy of the Greek bronze. The most celebrated event during the Olympic Games was known as a pentathlon. It was considered the suspense contest of athletic skill. Winners were crowned with a wreath of olive leaves, a coveted Olympic prize. The wealth of olive awarded the candidate was considered sacred to Zeus. The Greek Olympic Games come to an end in 393 AD. After Jesus crossed, they were banned by a Christian Roman Empire. He saw them as pagan practices, but 1500 years later, the games were revived through the efforts of a French baron, Pierre de Coubertin, who was inspired by the ideals of the ancient Greeks. In 1896, the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greek. Since then, the games have been a major event in the history of sports in the world. So, the second element where Greek civilization it had the second element which is called the belief in gods and goddesses. Ancient Greeks were religious. Although most Greeks have similar religious beliefs, there was no single Greek religion. Each city-state worshipped its own gods. Officials within each polis took charge of feasts and sacrifices. Heads of families could pray and sacrifices to the gods in their own household. Greek priests served as oracles or persons who could communicate with the gods. Greeks went to the oracle for advice, which was given in the form of prophecy or a statement of what might happen in the future. They believed in gods and goddesses. They had a common religion based on 12 chief gods and goddesses. These deities were thought to live on Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in the Greek. The gods and goddesses include the following. There was a god called Zeus. Zeus was considered as the chief god and the father of the gods. And also the second is Athena, goddesses of wisdom and craft. And the third, Apollo, god of the sun and poetry. The fourth, Aphrodite, goddesses of wrath and beauty. Number following, Poseidon, brother of Zeus and god of the seas and earthquakes. The following, Hades, the god of the underworld, where the spirit of the dead went. The following was called Nemesis, god of vengeance. And the following one was called Nike, where was called as the goddess of victory. So, although the 12 gods and goddesses were common at all Greeks, each city-state usually singled out one of the 12 Olympian gods as its guardian. For example, Athena was the patron goddess of Athens. For example, each policy also had its own local gods. These local gods remain vital to the community as a whole. Important elements in the Greek religion were rituals and festivals. The Greeks wanted the gods and goddesses to look favorably upon their lives and activities. This was what informed these religious practices. So, thank you for all of those who have been hearing to me. I'm called Dolph Media. So make sure that you have clicked to subscription section, and you have opened the ring, the bell, in order to find out the all updates news and all update information from my channel, and also in order to build our community. So thanks, history is important in our life in order to strengthen our past and also to prepare for a good future. Thanks, my name is Adolf. So we will continue again. Thanks.